Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Today it's Sunday, but it's also match day, and what a match. Juventus against Roma to end match day 3 before going into international break. We play at 8:45 p.m. Italian time in our Allianz Stadium. That will be totally crazy, fantastic, epic, with Juventini that wants to give continuity to the first two results of Serie A. Of course, they know that Roma is in a difficult moment, so we will push our boys to do extremely well. I have a good news. We play with our beautiful third shirt for the very first time. I have a bad news. It's that Dybala, Paredes, Soulé will be there as ex-players, and I have a bad feeling, guys. I have the bad feeling that Paulo Dybala will score his first goal against his ex-team Juventus Football Club. I don't know. Let me know the prediction that you have in the comments section. I want to read a lot of predictions. And of course, if you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like before entering into the details, preparing the game Juve-Roma. Don't forget, if you trust me, to subscribe to the channel. Let's grow that fantastic Juventus community, because now that you are ready, we can start. We start with telling you that Juventus-Roma on paper in that beginning of 24-25 Serie A looks more easier than it could actually be. Why? Because at the end of match day 2, we see that Juventus is there on top. The only team being able to go with a 6-on-6 with 6 goals scored and still clean sheets after 2 games, while Roma at the end of match day 2 was 15 with only 1 point on 6. We also see that the last 2 results, Juventus beat Como 3-0, beat Verona 3-0 away, while Roma had difficulties beating Cagliari because they were not able to, 0-0 in their match day 1, and then in the second game, the last one against Empoli, 2-1 loss. Empoli, that will be our next opponent after the international break, an undefeated Empoli. That international break most of the time is quite annoying. I tell you personally, this one is not a bad one, because there are a lot of players that will leave, but a lot of players will stay at La Continassa to work and continue to work with Thiago Motta. New players like Koopmeiners, etc., will stay in La Continassa, and it's not a bad one, honestly. For what reason? Because they need to be really 100% integrated in that Juve recuperating the preseason that they didn't do with Juventus, but some of them not even with their club of origin. So it's a good actually international break, and that's probably also why Gazzetta dello Sport, Tuttosport are predicting no changes in the starting lineup of today, but we will come back on that later. I told you about what could look an easy game against Roma in difficulty in that start of Serie A, but pay attention, Juve-Roma is not an easy game, has never been an easy game. Look at the historical result, or at least the last 5 games, with only 2 wins of Juve, 2 draws and 1 loss. But the most bizarre thing is that in these games that you draw, that you lose, or that you win, there is only 1 goal of difference. That 1-1 was the last game that we played against them at home, away from home. 1-1, do you remember, with that goal of Bremer at the 31st minute of the first half? That 1-0 win in our home was the last home result, with the goal of Rabiot at the 2nd minute of the second half, and then we had Roma-Juve 1-0. Mancini goal, Juve-Roma again a 1-1 with Vlahovic and Tammy Abraham, and then the last crazy result 3-4 with a lot of goals, and that goal of De Sciglio to seal the win, and that penalty save of Szczesny. 2 players that are not there anymore in the Juventus that will go this evening on the field. So that's already a difficult one, the historical part. The other thing that probably a lot of people didn't notice, because Roma scored only 1 goal in 2 games, is the fact that Roma at the end of match day 2 were the second team in terms of most created chances, in terms of attempts, 42, only second to Milan, 43, while Juventus, you need to go really nearly into the bottom of that page, 14th with only 21 attempts. You will tell me, how is it possible, Beppe? Juve scored 6, Roma only 1, Milan didn't do really well. How is it possible that Milan and Roma, they are there on top? Well, it's quite easy if we are thinking logically. Juventus, big parts of the game, were managing the game because they were already in taking the lead, because they were already scoring 2-0, 3-0, so they didn't have that necessity to continue to push, to continue to enter the final third, to continue with shots to try to close the gap, to equalize or to try to win the game, while Roma had that necessity because they needed to run against the score. And that explains things, but that means also that Roma, even if they are not able to score a lot, or they were not able to score a lot, they find a way into the goal. Look at the key passes, 15, but also the passes in final third from Roma, 120.5 average in 2 games. Juventus average 59 passes in final third. You see the big difference? That's a big one. Also, the defensive line of Roma was at 55.85 meters away from their goal. So extremely high Roma on the pitch, while Juventus was also high, but only at 48.34. So you see a Roma that has the ability to play high, to find ways to combine up front and enter the box and going with attempts. So pay attention, because until now, they were not able to go on target, or not a lot. If they find a way, pay attention. So how is Roma playing? What do we need to pay attention for? The fact that they are building with 3 in the back, which is now a trend in a lot of teams. 4 in the back, but when you build, you play with 3, freeing up one of the men. That's one thing that we need to pay attention, especially to up front, when they play with Soulé and Dybala, that has a lot of freedom, even if one is playing more on the left, one is playing more as a 10, or on the right side, depending who they are playing. They find the ability to play with each other in really short spaces, creating spaces, and then going up. And then you see also a Roma that are in difficulty, that have that weakness when they need to defend. They defend with a lot of men, so a lot of men are going back to try to defend, but they are really in total confusion. So how can we beat them? We need to pay attention, first of all, to these half spaces between the lines where Dybala kind of player, Soulé kind of player are really moving, and try to find spaces to actually unorganize the defense of Juve. So that's something that we need to pay attention, and we need to be extremely fast in our transition. And that's not a coincidence that yesterday in press conference Thiago Motta spoke about defensive phase and also equally the offensive phase. So both of them, I think the velocity of thinking between the lines in recuperating the ball and going up will be extremely important. I'm not speaking about counter-attacks, but really that transition phase between one and the other. What are the predicted lineups? Well, for Juve, according to Gazzetta and Tuttosport, it's exactly the same as we played against Verona, with Di Gregorio into the goal, Savona on the right, Gatti, Bremer, Cabal, Locatelli, Fagioli, double pivot, Cambiaso, Yildiz, Bangula, and then up front, Dusan Vlahovic. I still have the feeling, but it's a feeling, it's not an information, that I believe that Nico Gonzalez could potentially play with Cambiaso going back. Will it be on the right side instead of Savona? Will it be on the left instead of Cabal? I still need to understand, but I think that at least one change will happen, but I cannot promise you that. Let's see. It will be an old, beautiful, romantic story, if you want, if you are looking at the men, because it's true that in the past we had a lot of ex-Roma players. We had Paredes, we had Szczesny, we had so many players ex-Roma that were playing for us. And during the years, it changed a bit towards now a Roma that has a lot of ex-Juve players. Dybala, Paredes, Soulé, that we already mentioned. Pay attention, the will of revenge of these guys, the fact that they want really to do extremely well, especially in the Allianz Stadium, that they know extremely well. Pay attention to that. Big pressure also on Kenan Yildiz, that this evening will have to show that he's the number 10. Not anymore Paulo Dybala. It could have potentially been in the future Mattia Soulé. It is Kenan Yildiz, so big responsibility are on number 10. And I'm extremely happy that Kenan Yildiz is there this evening with the number 10 on his back. One that is an ex-Roma, but at the moment it's not with the first team. It's the last minute gong signature, the one of Felix Afena Gian, a player that was ex-Roma. We all remember these beautiful stories with Mourinho launching him with first team when he was really a kid, scoring twice in Coppa Italia, offering him these Balenciaga boots. We all remember that. Beautiful story. The guy, after some difficulties with Cremonese, is joining the next team, the next gen team. Pay attention, because Felix is really a good player, has a lot of potential, that lost himself a bit. If he's able to gain a bit of confidence, I'm thinking that the guy, we can see him in first team quite fast. Or, if not him, maybe the other last minute signature of the next gen, Luis Semedo, ex-Benfica, Sunderland. By the way, speaking about Benfica, they just sacked their coach. Who knows when we will play against Benfica, because they are our opponent in Champions League. We can face an ex-coach of us. I'm just saying that. Let's see later if the rumors, the voices, the corridor voices will start to be bigger and bigger and bigger. Luis Semedo is a really great player, so I think also their meritocracy, the one that is doing extremely good, will possibly have a window, an open window to the first team. Who is on our bench? Well, if you are looking at the starting lineup, more or less 100 million euro that we signed in the transfer market. Cope Manners, Nico Gonzalez, Consensao, also possibly Douglas Luiz, more than 100 millions on the bench, which is a lot, at the moment. Thiago Motta, according to the papers, prefers to reward the people that trained with him since the beginning. And that's also why Bangula, for example, could possibly have, again, the third starting spot in a row. Let's see if they are able to do the difference when they will enter from the bench. But Juventus, they are looking immediately for an answer. An answer today, before the international break, to go at the international break with 9-on-9 as the only team, because we want to continue that party. We want to have a week without doubts, with only certainties, with only joy, with 9-on-9, possibly also with a clean sheet, doing extremely well, sending messages to the other ones. Because the other ones, they were sending messages, like Inter 4-0 against Atalanta, but also to continue that party over teams like Milan, like Lazio, that did 2-2 yesterday, a total chaos. Total chaos also because you see the fragility of inside the team with a lot of extra field trained things. Leao, Theo Hernandez, they were not starting. They didn't want to come back to the cooling break. I'm happy that this doesn't happen at Juve, or never happened at Juve, or I would have been extremely pissed off because this is disrespectful. I'm not a Milan supporter, but I believe that you need to respect a glorious historical club like Milan, especially if you're representing it, and even more when you are two of the most iconic players of 24-25 of the Rossoneri. I told you about that draw, but also yesterday were other results that were not that nice for us Juventini. The 2-1 victory of Napoli. Controversial one. Suzuki, red card. They were losing in extra time 1-0 Napoli before the start of Lukaku. That 1-1 without goalkeeper because they were playing with a field goalkeeper. Guys, controversial one. I tell you the truth, it would have been extremely nice that Parma won that game. Or if they won it, I would have preferred Napoli to win it in the 90 minutes, normally 2-1, and it is what it is. But that way, it's extremely annoying. Because now you can say, but you see, with 11 against 11, they couldn't beat Parma, they had in difficulties. So it's a Napoli that you cannot count for the Scudetto race. Pay attention, because these wins in that fashion are extremely the wins that Antonio Conte loves. This is where he builds his narrative, his story about we can do it. I'm sure I told it yesterday in the live that Antonio Conte will use the fino alla fine, importing not only Manna, Antonio Conte, that Juventinità to Napoli, but also some of our quotes, the fino alla fine. I can tell you that Napoli will enjoy these ones. In a few weeks, if you hear fino alla fine in Napoli, well, I already warned you. That way of winning was strange. Again, I tell you, annoying. Annoying because that gives power to the team of Antonio Conte, Napoli. And also because losing today against Roma would not be nice. At the moment, we are third. Equal points with Napoli. We have one game in hand. Inter 7, Torino 7. I would not love to be this evening speaking about the Juve that is already behind Inter and Torino in the ranking. Inter and Torino are biggest rivals, one, and then the cousins of the city after 3 games in an international break. I would not love it at all. So let's try to win this evening, going at 9-on-9, and again being able to look everyone from top to bottom. Was a fast video, 14 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I repeat for the people that went here until the end of the video, this evening pre-game, watch along, and then in the second live, the post-game analyze of Juventus Roma. Hopefully again with a smile, hopefully again with a win. Hopefully my prediction that Dybala would score will be wrong, because Juventus will have again a clean sheet with 9-on-9 this evening. Hopefully. Grazie ragazzi, forza Juve.